Meaningful content dies with silent views. Your subscription, like, comment, and share help the video reach more people.
The people of Yemen are great people. They have acquired a very great honor. They have acquired the honor of the origins of the Arabs. They are the origins of the Arabs. They sharpened the honor of deep history and gained the honor of the great Islamic conquests that they strongly supported. They had the honor of praising the Prophet. May God bless him and grant him peace. The messenger, may God bless him and grant him peace, praised the people of Yemen in more than one position and mentioned many of their cities in his hadiths, and mentioned future hadiths in which Yemen will be, meaning Yemen, God willing, in the past deep for the deepest roots of the Arabs. In the incubator, its impact is present in all stages of Islamic history, and in the future of the entire world, Yemen is still present in remembrance. Yemen has experienced many crises in recent decades. There is great civil strife. The problems have worsened, wars and conflicts, the displacement of a very large number of people, and those who remained in the country suffered from many economic, social, and political pressures in the country. There is a very dangerous specter that threatens Yemen, which is the specter of division, meaning that it is until now officially a unified state, but actually on the ground it is divided. What division? That hasn't been approved yet? This means that up until now, Yemen is the only country recognized by the United Nations. But over time, this could change with the possibility of forming 2 or 3 states. Factors of concern about the occurrence of division exist, unfortunately, and are strong. And Yemenis must take sufficient caution to prevent this division from becoming divided. The division weakens any of the countries, which are factors. I mean, to me, we are worried if a division occurs because on the ground it does. We have a tripartite conflict in Yemen, not a bilateral one, not 2 forces facing each other. We have 3 forces fighting each other, and each force has the capabilities to allow the establishment of a separate state. This means that the factors of power are distributed among 3 groups without being in power, some of which are dominant to the extent that they impose their opinion on others, and therefore the possibility of division is possible. If the Yemenis do not scratch sufficient caution, the 3 forces of the first force, which is the legitimate government. The legitimate government controls eastern Yemen, including very important governorates, such as Hadramaut, Zi al-Mahra, and Zi Ghalib al-Ma'rib, which follow them, and Taiz may be added to them. It has an independent administration, but in the end, it belongs to the eastern province, Taiz, which is naturally in the west. This legitimate government is supported by international legitimacy, meaning it is recognized globally, and it is also supported by the presence of gas, oil, and wealth centers in these areas, as they have money. The first force is the legitimate government. The second is the Houthis. They control 25% of Yemen's area. The primary forces of the legitimate government control 55%. The largest area is controlled by a force of force, which is the force of the legitimate government. Although the nature of the areas they control does not have a high population density, they control more than half of Yemen. The Houthis have 25%, but the 25% of the land is located in the north and northwest. In the example of Damar al-Baida, Ib al-Sada, most of them are Sada, meaning Hodeidah with them, but Sana with them. This is one of the things that weighs down the strength of the Houthis who have Sana. Also, they have a very important need. They have a population density. The population with the Houthis is approximately more than 50% of the population of Yemen. The population of Yemen in general, 50% of them live in these areas. They have a high population density and also have ports on the Red Sea. That's why they are easily exposed to ships that sail in the Red Sea. They have several obstacles to the Red Sea. This is the second force, the third force, the force of the Southerners, which is represented by the so-called Southern Transitional Council, which controls 20% of the area of Yemen, along with Aden, Socotra, and parts of Abyan and Shabwa. One of the reasons for the strength of this place is the presence of some oil centers with it. and at the same time it controls all the ports on the Gulf of Aden in the south. It also controls global shipping routes. Every force in a state like this has something to support its existence, supports her strength. This is what keeps the balance between them continuing, and therefore the war continues, and therefore the possibilities of division are rising. We have another very dangerous factor, which is the interference of external forces in the equation. The equation is no longer dependent on the people of Yemen, but every third power is the power of a state supported by who? Towards. We have the strength of the legitimate government, as long as it is from Saudi Arabia. Iran backs the Houthis along with the Transitional Council. Supported by the UAE, I now have agendas outside Yemen that are involved in the issue, and depending on the support of each force of this force, the equation changes inside Yemen. The third dangerous thing is that Muslims, unfortunately, are not focused on Yemen. Why are they busy? Busy? We have many events, very passionate events in Palestine, the Gaza war. We have events in Syria that are very rigid. We have events in Sudan. We have events in Libya. We have events in the Horn of Africa. And the issue of Ethiopia and Eritrea and very many things. We have many complications in the Arab files, and therefore Yemen does not take up a large space in the effort of politicians, the effort of Arabs, or the effort of Muslims in general. This also makes the issue protracted, and it is possible that as the issue continues, the possibilities of division or the specter of division may be greater. We also have a very dangerous factor in Yemen, namely poverty. Economic matters are very weak. They have major problems, and therefore they are living on external support. The people or governments that control them now are dependent on external support. Therefore, loyalties may change according to external support, according to circumstances. I also ransom the circumstances may remain coercive for many people, especially with cases of displacement, many cases of hardship related to food, drink, clothing, treatment, etc. Many things they are exposed to are very dangerous. We ask God Almighty for safety. Also, one of the difficult things that supports this issue of division is the revolts that occur between people in wars that have taken place and blood has been shed. Therefore, it is possible, and keep in mind that we are talking about a tribal society, as there may be conflicts between tribes that are not easy if they are forgotten or dissolved. The last thing I say is that the roots of separation originally exist in Yemen. And this is also supposed to be reviewed because I am originally from Yemen. They were two states until the year 90, North Yemen and South Yemen, each with one. Different means they have different ideas and different approaches, and the only one happened in the year 90, and when the year 90 happened, it also did not happen in a way that comforts all souls. That's why a civil war broke out in the year 94, but thank God it ended quickly. But the roots of the separation exist in recent history, and that's why this is also all these things make one worried about the division of Yemen. With all these reasons for concern, thank God there are good news and positives that say that the people of Yemen are possible. God willing, they will unite, create one state, and emerge from their crisis. First, we have a common history among all Yemeni tribes as a Yemeni unity. God willing, Yemen has a long history within Islamic history, making it possible for Yemeni identity to endure. The second very important need is the close proximity between the Sunnis in terms of approach and thought, and between the Zaydis, which is one of the Shiite sects, but the Shiite sects closest to the Sunnis. That is why we said in the episode, The Truth of the Houthis, that the Houthis made a big mistake by introducing the 12th to Yemen, which is Iran's thought, and what did it think? I mean, the 12, which is contrary to the Yemeni doctrine, which is originally close to each other, you very much do not distinguish between the Sunni Yemeni, which is Ghalib, Shafi'i, and the Zaydi, whose lives meet naturally, very harmonious with each other. Their jurisprudential approaches are convergent, their doctrines are convergent, their way of dealing is convergent, and their history is very much in common. That's why I'm surprised by the comments that came on the episode, The Truth about the Houthis. There are people who are very motivated and tell you a Sunni, and how is this a Sunni person? We did not say anything other than that in the episode. We said that the entry of the 12 at the hands of the Houthis into Yemen was the one who created a problem. But the Yemeni people in general, what does not have a name at all is 20. Most of the Yemeni people are either Sunni or Zaydi. They have no problem at all if they unite, and the ability to unite is acceptable to these people. The last thing to say is wisdom. Wisdom, our brothers and sisters in unity, the entire world, now that has a desire to appear and remain on the scene, uniting weak countries by bringing each other together. The European Union worked, created an entity with each other because each unit alone cannot be trivial in front of Russia, so they work together. The entity of the world is grouped in order to be able to overcome the crises that nations and countries are going through. Wisdom that the people of Yemen are supposed to resort to. And if we come to the field of wisdom, then the Yemenis are the knights.